Okay, hi students. In part 1 of our discussion, we have talked about the discovery of the cell, the cell theory, the parts of the cell, and also the transport that is happening inside and outside of the cell. Okay, so this time, let us talk about taxonomy. So taxonomy is the study of classification and naming of organisms. It was Carolus Linnaeus who is considered as the father of taxonomy. Okay, so Carolus Linnaeus, he was the one who proposed the binomial nomenclature, no, or yung two-name system, which includes the genus and the species name. Okay, so there are 8 levels of taxonomic classification. We have here the highest or the broadest. We have domain, kingdom, phylum or division. The next is class, followed by order, family, genus, and species. Okay, so those organisms belonging in each taxa, say for example, we have here in taxa of kingdom. Okay, so those organisms under one kingdom are less similar with one another. However, if you go down with these levels of taxonomic classification, for example, species or organisms belonging in the same genus, okay, they are more similar with one another. So it is very important for you to remember the sequence or yung hierarchy of this taxonomic classification. So we have here a mnemonics for this one. We have Dear King Philip, come over for good spaghetti. So Dear corresponds for domain, King for kingdom, Philip for phylum, come for class, then we have over for order, and for family, good for genus, and then spaghetti for species. Okay, so again, to remember easily the hierarchy of taxonomic classification, just remember this sentence: Dear King Philip, come over for good spaghetti. Domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and then the species. The species is the most specific, no, na organism. So organism belonging to one species, for example, the species of Homo sapiens sapiens, humans, no, wala nang lain nga kini ang Homo sapiens sapiens because there is only one species of Homo sapiens sapiens. However, if we're going to talk about genus Homo, okay, daghan pag klase sa Homo nga genus: Homo habilis, Homo erectus, okay. So mas similar again ang mga organisms that belong to the lower levels of the taxonomic classification. Okay, so there are 3 domains in taxonomy, and we also have 5 kingdoms. Okay, so the oldest domain is the domain Archaea. Okay, it only has one kingdom, which is kingdom Archaea bacteria. Okay, so those organisms belonging to this kingdom are microscopic. They are all microscopic, and they live in various places, mostly in severe na mga environments. Okay, examples ng mga organisms that belongs to kingdom Archaea bacteria are methanogens, halophiles, thermophiles, and others. And then we have the second domain, the domain bacteria. Then naanang gihapon siya isa ka kingdom, no? Kingdom Monera or kingdom Eubacteria. It is considered as the true bacteria. So all organisms belonging to this kingdom are also microscopic, meaning mga unicellular yung mga organisms that belong to kingdom Eubacteria or kingdom Monera. Okay, so they are referred to as, again, true bacteria, and they are usually called bacteria nga group. Okay, so yung cell walls ng mga organisms in kingdom Eubacteria, as what I have said kanina, in the part 1 pala, is made up of peptidoglycan, okay, which is a carbohydrate with a protein. Si plants, yung cell walls ni plants are made up of cellulose. Yung cell wall naman ni fungi are made up of chitin. For example, ng organisms ng Eubacteria is Streptococcus, no, Lactobacillus, and many more. The next domain, or the third domain, is the domain Yokarya. Okay, so there are three kingdoms under domain Yokarya, three or four. Yeah, four. Okay, four kingdoms under domain Yokarya. We have Kingdom Protista. Okay, so this include protists, no? So they differ in size, movement, and method of obtaining energy. There are photosynthetic na mga protists na apoy mga heterotrophic na mga protists. And most protists are microscopic. Some can grow to as high as several meters naman. So examples ng protists are protozoans, diatoms, and various algae, no? Mga green, brown, and algae. Meron din tayo tinatawag na golden algae at saka red algae. Okay? Example ng organisms belonging to kingdom Protista is the Entamoeba histolytica, which is the cause of kini ang amoebiasis, no? One of the symptoms of amoebiasis is dysentery, kanang magkalibanga. Okay? The second kingdom under domain Yokarya is the kingdom fungi. Okay? So kingdom fungi, organisms belonging to this kingdom are all heterotrophic. Okay? Meaning they obtain their energy by ingesting or by taking organic materials from others. So they cannot photosynthesize. That is why they are heterotrophic, ang kingdom fungi. Okay? Example ng fungi is yung molds, mushroom, yeast, no, na ginagamit sa pagpatubo sa pan. It's a fungi, mildews, and microsporidia. Okay? Another kingdom under domain Yokarya is the kingdom Animalia, or the animals in which we belong. Okay? So animals consist of two major groups, the invertebrates and vertebrates. Invertebrates lack backbone, which is present in vertebrates. Okay? So again, like fungi, kingdom Animalia are also heterotrophic. Okay, so let's talk about the different phylum or phylum, no, under the kingdom Animalia. So let's talk about mga invertebrates na phylum. Okay, first we have phylum Porifera. Okay, so phylum Porifera are pore-bearing, simplest animal. So they do not have tissues, they do not have nervous systems. Their body is made up of calcium carbonate. So they are aquatic. Again, it's a type of animal, ha. Ang kini ang porifera, like this one here in the picture, they do not have tissues and they do not have nervous system, yung mga porifera. Okay, so they are often called sponges. Next phylum is the Cnidaria, okay, or Cnidarians. So Cnidarians include kini ang mga jellyfish, okay, coral, hydra, at saka yung sea anemone. So one of the characteristics ng mga Cnidarians, they have a stinging cells, no, which is kini ang produced by the nematocyst. No, mo na nga pong makuanan ka og mga kini ang nabay mga deadly na mga jellyfish, no, because they have stinging cells. Okay, so they are produced in the nematocyst of these Cnidarians. Next phylum is the Pylon Arthropods or Arthropoda. Okay, so characteristics of these animals, they have jointed legs and segmented bodies. Okay, example of this under Arthropoda is mga insects like mosquitoes and butterflies. We have also crustaceans, yung mga shrimp, yung mga alamang, no? They are part or under the phylum of Arthropoda. We have the arachnids, like the spiders. And we also have under the phylum Arthropoda, the centipede at saka yung mga millipede. Okay? So one of the characteristics nga gina-express, no, or gina buhat aning mga arthropods is they undergo the process of molting or ecdysis, no, in which they shed their old cuticle whenever they grow in size, no, mura siya og magluno, no, kung sabitin pa. So kung mudako ang isa ka, for example, ang crustaceans, di ba, mura siya og iyang hubuon tong iyahang murag kini ang murag panit niya para mohimo siyang para mudako na pud siya. Okay, so mura siya og magluno ang mga insects, no, some insects kini ang mag-undergo sila og molting or ecdysis. Next, we have phylum Nematoda or the nematodes. They are called the roundworms, no? Okay, mga roundworms. However, these worms are unsegmented. So, walay segmentation sa ilahang body. Okay, example of this is pinworm and then yung Ascaris lumbricoides, yung hookworm, at saka yung filarial worm which causes filariasis. Another phylum is phylum Platyhelmentes, no? They are the flatworms. Okay? They have soft tissues and also they are unsegmented ang ilahang body. Okay? It includes flukes, tapeworms, at saka yung Planaria. Another type of kini ang invertebrates, no? This the phylum Annelida or the annelids. Okay? It includes mga segmented na ni sila nga mga worms like leech, no, mga linta, mga wati o bristle worms. They are under phylum Annelida. And then we have phylum Mollusca or the mollusk. Okay, like this one here in the picture. They have soft bodies. Usually naa sila yung mga shells like mga snails, mga kuol, no. They are under phylum Mollusca. Okay, squids and clams, snails, at saka yung octopi are also examples of organisms belonging to phylum Mollusca. Although yung mga squid at saka yung mga octopi, they do not have shells, but they are similar with other nga mga mollusks, no, that have shells like clams at saka yung snails. Next, we have the Echinoderms or phylum Echinodermata. Okay, so they have spiny body. Examples of this is kinang mga sea star, mga sea urchin, sand dollar, sea cucumber, at saka brittle star. Okay, ang sea star, it can undergo kini ang asexual reproduction called fragmentation, no. So kung imuhang balion ning kini ang isa ka tiil, no, or isa ka part sa kini ang sea star, katong nabali nimo nga part sa sea star or naputol niya nga part will become another organism. Okay, so fragmentation ang tawag ana nga type sa asexual reproduction. Okay, and then we have the phylum Chordata. Okay, so chordates are mga vertebrates na ni sila nga mga animals, no, na sila backbone. So under Chordata we have fish, no. One of the characteristics of fish is na sila scales or himbis, na sila gills or hasang, at saka fins. Okay, example is shark and lampreys. We also have under Chordata is the mga amphibians, no. So amphibians, part of their life cycle is in water, and then later on in their adult na life cycle is na sila sa land. So mga amphibians, example ana is mga frogs, caecilians, and saka mga salamanders. And then we have the reptiles. Okay, so reptiles, they lay eggs, no, they have scaly bodies na mga himbis ilang lawas, and they are ectotherm, okay, or cold-blooded nga mga animal. Okay, so reptiles is a cold-blooded animals. Usibot pasabot pag cold-blooded animals, meaning their temperature, no, ang ilahang internal temperature is nakadepende sa temperature sa environment. Unlike sa mga warm-blooded na animals, no, like us humans, even though ang atoang environment is mubugnaw siya or muinit, there is a regulator sa atoang lawas nga i-maintain ang atoang body temperature under 27 degrees Celsius, no. Kung mutaas na imuhang temperature, that means there is something wrong sa imong lawas, no. Kung kalinturahon ka, di ba, taas may imong temperature ana, that means there is something wrong sa imong lawas. Okay, so again, mga cold-blooded animals, magdepende ang ilahang body temperature sa ilahang sa ilahang environment, no? Kung bugnaw ang environment, bugnaw pud ang ilahang body temperature. However, sa mga warm-blooded nga animals, although mubugnaw or muinit ang ilahang unsa na, ang ilahang environment nga gibilungan, ang ilahang temperature will still remain in kiniang in balance. Okay? Examples ng reptiles are crocodiles, snakes, turtle, at saka yung lizard. Okay? Next, we have, under gihapon kang chordata is yung mga birds, no? So, birds have two scaly legs, they have wings, feathers, and they are warm-blooded ang mga birds. Okay? Example ng birds, penguin, ostrich, duck, no, daghan kayo. And then we have mammals or kini ang mga mammalia, okay, in which we belong, okay? So mammals contain mammary glands, they have hairs, at saka they can produce milk, okay? So examples of mammals are mga humans, mga platypus, at saka mga marsupials. So important to remember this one, kini nga mammal, no, in the Arctic environment called walrus, no? Kasagaran gabalik-balik yun siya sa licensure examination. So walrus is a marine mammal that have long ivory tusks and lives in the Arctic environment. Okay. So next kingdom under domain Yokarya is the kingdom Plantae or yung mga plants. Okay. So they are multicellular, and because they have chlorophyll, they can make their own food. So meaning mga producers ang mga plants or mga organisms under kingdom Plantae, they are all producers. Okay, so they can make their own food, they can photosynthesize because they have the pigment chlorophyll. Okay, so plants consist of two big groups, those which do not have tissues to transport water and food or mga non-vascular nga mga plant. And then we have the vascular nga mga plant in which naa sila transport system nga mga tissues. Namely the xylem and the phloem. Okay, so let's talk about first non-vascular plants. Non-vascular plants, as what I have said kanina, they do not have vascular or conducting tissues, no? They are found in moist places. Examples ng non-vascular plants are mga mosses, liverworts, at saka hornworts. Ito sila. Okay, so kasagaran makita natin sila sa mga basa ng mga yuta, no? Or mga basa ng mga environment. And then we have vascular plants. So vascular plants have vascular or conducting tissues, namely xylem and phloem. Okay, si xylem ga-conduct or ga-move og water and minerals, no, from the roots padulong sa other parts sa plants. Si phloem naman distributes sugars, amino acids, and other organic compounds from the leaf, kay si sugar or si glucose is ginabuhat man in the leaf of a plant. So meaning mag-travel ang sugar from the leaf of the plant to the other parts of the plants. Okay, so vascular plants can be seedless nga plants, and then we have also mga seed nga plants, no? Mga walay liso nga plants or mga nagdala og liso nga plants. So there are also two types of seed plants. We have the Angiosperms and the Gymnosperms. So we will talk about them one by one. Okay, so let's talk about seedless vascular plants like mga ferns. Okay, so it includes club mosses, spike mosses, and keelworts, ferns, at saka yung whisk ferns and horsetail. Okay, so that is mga seedless, mga seedless nga vascular nga plants like this one here kini nasa picture. Seed vascular nga plants naman, as what I have said kanina, there are two types, Angiosperms at saka Gymnosperms. Let's talk about first about Angiosperms. So Angiosperms are the most abundant and widely distributed plants. Okay, so it contains mga flowering nga plants, no? Naapod sila reproductive nga cells in which makita sa mga flowers. Okay, so mamunga pud ning mga angiosperms, no? They can bear fruits to protect the seed. Okay? Ayan. So again, angiosperms are mga flowering nga mga plants, no? They have a kiniang fruit that protects their seed. Ang kaibahan ni angiosperm at saka ni gymnosperm, si gymnosperm although naa siya seed, however yung seed niya is kiniang naked ang ihang seed, okay? So gymnosperms, they are cone bearing plants, okay? Seeds are not enclosed by fruit, okay? So kanang makita nato sa mga pine tree, dili na iyahang bunga ha, it's a cone of the pine tree. Okay? So again, ang mga gymnosperms wala sila fruit nga nag-enclose or nagtabon sa ilahang mga liso. Okay? So ang ilahang mga liso makita sa mga cone. So the four groups of living gymnosperms are conifers or the pine tree, the cycads, the ginkgos, at saka yung mga netophytes. Okay, so let's talk about also the sexual reproduction of plant, specifically the angiosperms. Okay? So, yung main reproductive organ ng mga angiosperms is their flower. Okay? So, pollination happens in flowers of angiosperms. So, pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of the stigma of the flower to the other nga kiniang flower. Okay? So we also have this term cross-pollination which happens between kiniang duha ka plants, no? Ang pag-pollinate sa duha ka plants, no? Meaning duha ka different plant nag-cross-pollinate sila. And then we also have this one self-pollination from one flower of the same plant to the other flower of the same plant. Okay? Self-pollination siya ang tawag. Pag duha na ka plant nag-pollinate one another, that is cross-pollination. Pero kung isa lang ka plant and then duha ka flowers or more anak nga plant nag-self-pollinate, mo nang gitawag siya og self-pollination. Okay, so let's talk about the parts of the flower. Okay, so one of the parts of the flower is the sepals, which is collectively called as the calyx. No, it serves as a protection of the flower before it opens. So we have here the sepal, kining mura og kini ang murag dahon, no, nga under sa kini ang petals sa kini ang bulak. So it's part gihapon sa although mura siya og kini ang dahon, it's part gihapon siya sa flower, see, sepals. And then we have the petals like this one here, kining naka-color na pink. Petals are collectively called corolla. Okay? So the petals often attract a particular pollinator, no? One of the major pollinators is yung mga bees, no? Sila ang gadala og mga pollens from one flower to another flower. Okay? And then we have the stamen, okay, which is the male part of the flower. So stamen has anther at saka yung filament, no? That is the male reproductive part of the flower. So yung flower has both, no, male at saka female na reproductive part, no? As you can see here, stamen, naapod tay kini ang carpel here, which includes the ovary, the ovule. Let me have a pointer. Ayan. So again, stamen consists of the anther, which is a sac-like container. And then we have the filament, which is a slender stalk. Okay? So yung pollen nga i-transfer padulong sa stigma, padulong sa ovary sa isa ka flower is nagikan kang anther. Ayan. So pollen grains develop from microspores produced in the anther. And then we have the carpel, no, or the pistil, which is the female part of the flower. It includes the stigma, the style, the ovary, and the ovule. So ovule becomes the seed. Si ovary naman mo ay mahimong bunga or yung fruit ng isang flower. Okay? So fruit is instrumental in the distribution of seeds. Okay? So again here we have the carpel or the pistil, no, it includes the style in which dria mo first o kini enter ang pollen, and then we have here the the stigma pala, in which the pollen first enter, and then we have the style, the pollen tube up until padulong kang ovary, and then we have under kang ovary is the ovule. Okay, so again, si ovule may mahimong liso, si ovary of the flower mo ay mahimong fruit sa isa ka plant. Okay, so important terms to remember about flowers, because flowers, no, if you're going to look at flowers, pwede nato nga maklasify siya depende kung unsa nga type sa flower ang nasa iya ha. So a flower is called complete if naa ang upat ka types or upat ka parts, no, main parts sa flower. We have naa siya sepals, naa siya petals, naa siya stamen, naa pud siya carpels. Okay? Pag present ning upat ka buok, that means kana nga flower is complete. Okay? However, kung naay mawala from these four, okay, one or two ang wala ani nga mga parts sa flower, that is considered incomplete siya nga flower. For example, naa siya pistil or kadtong unsa na female part ng flower pero wala siya male nga part, okay? It is an incomplete nga flower. Tawagon po siya og perfect nga flower pag naa siya stamens at saka yung carpels, no? Pag naa siya both female nga reproductive part o male nga reproductive part. Okay? Perfect siya nga flower. Imperfect naman nga flower pag isa lang ka reproductive part ang naa sa iya. It's either the stamen or the male reproductive part or the carpel, the female reproductive part of the flower. Okay? Imperfect ang tawag ana. Inflorescence naman pag naay cluster of flowers. Composite nga flower naman, ang tawag sa flowers nga that appears to be a single flower but consists of a group of tiny flowers. For example, ani is kanang santan, no? Although tanaw nimo na nagtapok na santan, abi nimo isa lang siya ka flower, but it is made up of tiny flowers, no? Ang santan. And then we have here the sexual reproduction in Gymnosperms. So again, Gymnosperms, they are cone-bearing mga vascular plants, no, or mga seed nga naay seed plants. Okay? So most of the male cones is makita siya sa ubos, sa lower branches sa isa ka gymnosperm. And then most naman yung mga female nga cones is naa sila sa tag-as nga mga branches or higher nga mga branches. Okay? So we have here the parts of kini ang pollen tube, no? In which dria mag-fertilize ang kini ang male nga genetic material at saka yung female na genetic material ng mga gymnosperms. Okay, so we have here the ovule, the pollen tube at saka yung pollen grain. Okay? So pag mag-meet ng mga pollens, no, with the ovule here, it will fertilize the gymnosperms. Okay. So we have here the difference at saka similarities ng angiosperms at saka gymnosperms, no? Both angiosperms and gymnosperms, they are seed-bearing plants, okay? And then we have here, they are also belong to kingdom Plantae, the same lang nga kingdom, and they are all vascular nga plants, ang mga angiosperms and gymnosperms. However, si angiosperm, flowering siya nga plants, si gymnosperms is non-flowering siya. Okay, so yung seeds naman ni angiosperms are enclosed in fruits, okay? However, yung seeds ni gymnosperms are naked, no, wala naka-enclose sa isa ka fruit. So angiosperms possess ovaries with flowers that can be unisexual or bisexual. Si gymnosperm naman possess cones, scales, or specialized leaves, generally unisexual. Okay? So angiosperms can be found in almost any habitat. However, si Gymnosperms includes only softwood trees or shrubs like juniper, pine, fig, at saka yung conifer. Now, let's talk about asexual reproduction in plants. Kay kaina, we talk about sexual no, nga reproduction. Katong pag-meet sa pollen o sa ovule sa kini ang angiosperm at saka yung gymnosperm. Okay? So, asexual reproduction is other kini ang name for asexual reproduction sa mga plants is vegetative reproduction. So, vegetative reproduction, a new plant grows from a fragment of the parent plant or grows from a specialized reproductive structure. Okay? So, it could be a stolon, tubers, rhizomes, bulbs, corms, or underground nga mga roots. So, let's talk about them one by one. So, runners or stolons, okay, they have horizontal nga stems, no? So, yung horizontal nga stems na ay mo ma-create dito or ma-form dito ang new roots at saka new shoots, no? Nga ma-develop at the node of the runners. Okay, example ng runners or mga stolon ng mga plants is strawberry plant, Bermuda grass, at saka yung bamboo grass. So we have here the picture of a strawberry plant. As you can see here, naa siya specialized nga stem, no? The horizontal stem. Ayan. So yung stem nga ning katag or ning katay is pwede to siya maka-form na po of another organism which is genetically identical with the parent nga kini ang plant, no? Kay asexual reproduction man eh. Okay, so there is no genetic variation. Next is the tubers. Okay, tubers are underground nga mga stems that store for the plant, no? So yung eyes ng underground na stems are the stems nodes and each eye contains a cluster of bud. Example ng tubers is si potato or patatas. So if you are going to kini ang separate, no, or imuhang i-divide ang isa ka potato, pwede ka makatanom o kini ang daghan nga plant sa potato by just using one potato because one potato have many eye nga kini ang lateral bud, no? Kay katong lateral bud kato siya is maka-develop to siya og shoot didto and then kato nga shoot is pwede siya mahimo nga another plant na pod sa potato. As you can see here in the picture, no, daghan kayo og shoots nga ning guwa gikan sa different nga mga lateral bud ani nga potato. Okay, so again, pag imuha siyang i-divide or imuhang i-isolate, no, ang kada isa ka mga lateral bud, it will become kini ang individual ng organism sa potato or plant, potato plant. Next, we have the rhizomes. Okay, rhizomes resemble stolons because they grow as underground horizontal nga stems. Ang kalahian lang, si stolon or katong si runners is dili underground ang ilang stem. Si rhizome is underground ang ilang stem. Okay? So, examples ng rhizomes are ginger or katong luya. Okay? So, we have here ginger. Ayan. So, katong luya, pag imuha siyang itanom, okay, mo migrate or kini ang mo dako ning iyahang horizontal stem, underground horizontal stem, and then after that is mo turok na pud to siya na po'y bud, no, or na ay node nga or shoot ba kaha nga ma-form from this part of this ginger. Okay, so underground stem is mga rhizomes na sila. Next, we have the bulbs. Okay, they are shortened, compressed, underground gihapon nga stems surrounded by fleshy scales or leaves that envelope a central bud at the tip of the stem. Okay, example ng bulbs are onion at saka yung garlic. So kini di ay bumbay, no, kanang atong hiwaon gani kanang ginagamit nato nga lamas. Kuan din na siya kanang ginahiwa kay nato, it's the leaf or leaves of the bumbay. Okay, fleshy scales nga kini ang leaves sa bumbay. So they are mga underground sila nga stem. Okay? Underground nga stem ang mga bulbs o katong garlic ahos. Next na asexual reproduction is nga mga plant is mga corms. Okay? So corms are underground nga stem. They shape like bulbs but they do not contain fleshy scale. Okay? So they have solid, swollen stem with dry scale-like leaves. Example ng corms is yung taro or Colocasia esculenta, which is kanang ginatawag nato na gabi. Okay? So it is an example of corms. So kanang gabi nga ato ang ginadungag, it's not a root ha, it's an underground nga stem. Okay? So gabi is an underground nga stem kana ang ginagulay nato nga gabi. Another one is the underground roots, which includes carrots, mga sweet potatoes, mga ube, cassava o katong singkamas. Okay? Mga underground roots na sila. Okay? So yung kinakaon nato is mga ugat to siya, specialized nga ugat ana nga plant like kamote, carrots, ube, cassava, no, mabalanghoy o kining singkamas, mga underground roots na sila. Okay? Again, si gabi, it's not underground root ha, it's underground nga stem. Okay, lahi si stem, lahi po si root. Okay, we are done with the plant reproduction. Now, let's proceed with the animal reproduction, specifically yung sexual reproduction ng animals. Okay? So, we have here a very interesting kini ang type of animal, which is an earthworm. Okay? So, earthworms are hermaphroditic or monoecious. Okay? They both contain female at saka male nga organs. At saka in one worm, no, meaning sa isa ka wati naa siya female o male nga organs. Okay? So yung part nga naay or nag-contain sa egg sa mga wati or sa earthworm is called the clitilium. Okay? So during copulation, like this one here, one worm passes its sperm into the seminal vesicle of another, at the same time receives sperm into its own receptacle. Meaning kung mag-copulate ang duha ka wati mo ay mabuntis, no? Kay naaman sila ay both male at saka yung female na reproductive part. So meaning walay laki or walay bae, no? Bae laki ni sila tanan nga mga wati. That means kung mag-copulate sila or mag-undergo sila og kini ang reproduction, sexual reproduction, both wati is magkaroon ng kini ang mabuntis siya. Next we have frog. Okay? Ano ba yung sexual reproduction ng frog? Okay? So frog are non-amniotic eggs. They contain non-amniotic eggs, no? Yung mga eggs nila ay walay mga amnion. Okay? So the eggs are fertilized in the water and then they exhibit this kini ang I don't know kung sa una kabaloon sa ning amplexus, no, or mating embrace sa mga amphibians or mga frogs, no. I observed this one here in Ascot, although ako ba ito nakuhaan og picture. Okay? This one here kini diri ni siya sa tong old nga tong senior high nga building, di ba, sa ubos tong mabahaan nga classroom. Nakita nako ni sila abi nako og anak og sa una abi nako og anak og kini ang mama ni sila nga mga baki nga nagbaba ang gamay nga baki. Lalaki di ay ning baki nga gamay unya ang kining dako nga baki is babae. So it's amplexus di ang tawag ana or the mating embrace, no. Either ginabuhat nila ni during sex, no, sexual intercourse, or after sexual intercourse, like this one here, kini nga mga pictures here. So again ha, I personally observed this one mo na ako na picturean. Okay? Gipangkapoy guro ning mga bakiya og inupa kay katulugon man. Next we have chickens, no. Chicken mao'y pinaka boring nga unsa na pinakaway lami nga for me lang ha, pinakaway lami nga sexual intercourse ang naa sa chicken kay dali ra kay mahuman. Okay? So the rooster, which is the male, no, places the opening of his reproductive organ against the opening of the hen's reproductive organ, like this one here, di ba? Kung mag-upa ang manok, di ba, dali ra kayo, like sa mga pato pod, ang mga pato magdugay man mahuman ang pato siguro. Ang manok is dali ra gyud kayo, pinakirig-kirig dayon pagkahuman. Okay? So after that, pag ma-fertilize na, okay, si katong kini ang ovum ni hen, it will develop na into a fertilized nga egg. So yung fertilized na egg ng mga chickens and other birds, they are surrounded by yolk. Okay? Then after that, ilahan nang ipagawas sa ilang body katong fertilized na egg, and then they will incubate it using their own body temperature. Another kini ang type of asexual reproduction naman in animal reproduction is what we call budding. Okay? Ano ba yung budding? Budding occurs when the parent organism produces offspring by growing a replica in the form of an outgrowth called bud. Okay? Example nga mga organisms nga nag-undergo og budding is yung mga hydra, mga sponges, at saka yung yeast. So we have here the example of kini ang a hydra undergoing budding. As you can see here, this is now the parent hydra, no? And then natay nakita din ang gamay nga bud kana siya. Mura siya og butoy lang. And then later on na-develop na siya nga bud, okay? And then pagdako na siya nga bud, mag-detach na siya, and then katong na-detach nga bud is another organism na pud to siya nga hydra. Okay? So that is budding. Next, we have fragmentation or regeneration. Yung sinabi ko kanina about mga C-star. Okay? So, separated pieces of the parent organism can develop into an individual. Okay? Examples ng mga organisms that can do fragmentation or regeneration is yung C-star or yung mga flatworms. Okay? So, we have here C-star, no? Kung imuhang i-break or imuhang putlon ang isa ka tiil niya, katong tiil nga naputol will become another na pod nga organism. Next, we have binary fission, no? Although binary fission ang inyong nadunggan no, is naa siya sa unsa na mga bacteria, na po'y other nga mga organisms that are capable of binary fission. Okay? So in binary fission, the individual divides into two halves. Okay? Example ani is si Paramecium at saka si bacteria. Paramecium is a protist, no? So ang reproduction ni Paramecium is through binary fission like some bacteria. Okay, so this is binary fission of Paramecium. Naalay ko na tiyang usana. After ma-replicate yung genetic material ng Paramecium, in which we have here the micronucleus, no? Pag ma-replicate na siya, it will turn into this one. Pwede na nga mag-undergo binary fission ang Paramecium. This one naman is the binary fission of bacteria. Okay? So yung bacteria, yung chromosome na bacteria, it will undergo replication, no? After mag-replication, mag-segregate tong replicated nga bacteria from the replicated na genetic material from the original na genetic material, and then later on it will split into two na identical daughter cells. So that is binary fission. Okay, so we have here a sample question. Which of the following taxonomic categories contains organisms least similar to one another? Pag least similar to one another gani, that means naa siya sa mga higher na mga levels at levels of taxonomy. So pinaka taas natin or pinaka broad, di ba? We have the domain, the kingdom, and then the class, family, order, genus, species. Okay, dear King Philip, come over for good spaghetti. Okay, So, dear King Philip, asa may mas taas na to din sa itong choices? Si class, si family, si genus, or si species. Okay, asa may pinakaduol kang domain. Okay? Domain, kingdom, phylum, class. Okay? So, that means organisms nga belong sa class are least similar to one another. So, our answer here is letter A. Okay? Letter A. So again, pag naa siya sa um, taas, no, nga kini ang level sa um, level of taxonomy or taxonomic categories, okay, mas kini ang mas least similar ang mga organisms nga nabilong sa ilaha. Okay? Compared kang family, kang genus o kang species, yung mga organisms nga nabilong sa ila is kini ang more similar to one another. Kay dili naman kayo siya. Pagpaubos nimo is more specific man ang mga organisms kung magpaubos ka aning hierarchy of taxonomic category. Pero pagpataas pud ka, ang mga organisms ana, that means mga least similar sila to one another. Okay, so we are done with taxonomy. Let us now proceed with the human systems. Okay, so first we have the digestive system. Okay, basic na kayo nga unsa na, mga knowledge about human system. So digestive system na atay types of digestion, no? First one is yung mechanical or physical digestion in which it happens in the mouth and the stomach. One of the kini ang unsa na phenomenon after undergoing kini ang mechanical digestion in the mouth, no, pagtulo nato sa pagkaon na ay mahitabo nga wave-like muscle contraction sa food nga ato ang gikaon here in the esophagus para ipaubos siya. Ang tawag ana nga wave-like muscle contraction is what we call the peristalsis. Okay? Another type of digestion naman is the chemical digestion in which dili na mahitabo ang breakdown of large food molecules by enzymes na. Okay? Enzymes mo na nga gitawag siya og chemical digestion because it involves enzymes already. Dinhiya sa mechanical o physical digestion, no, is just pagamyon lang, no, usapon lang siya, pagamyon lang ang mga pagkaon nga ato ang ginakaon. Okay, so let's talk about the parts of the digestive system. So yung mouth, diri mahitabo yung mechanical digestion. We have the pharynx or the throat, okay? The esophagus, diri mahitabo tong peristalsis, no, or yung wave-like contraction ng muscle para magtulunta mapadulong sa stomach ang ato ang gikaon. And then sa stomach, na to makita ang chyme, which is a mix of food at saka yung gastric juices, yung mga inusap na nato nga mga pagkaon, no? Pag i-mix na to siya sa gastric juices sa stomach, ang tawag nato nila is chyme. And then we have the small intestine, which is the final place of digestion and absorption of nutrients. Si large intestine naman, or the colon, okay, diri mahitabo ang water absorption, production of vitamin K, and the large intestine, yung last part ng large intestine will end in rectum. And then we have the anus dayon, in which diri moagi ang ato ang mga hugaw pagpagawas. It is the passageway in defecation. So we also have mga accessory organs in the digestive system. Ano ba yung accessory organs, no? Yung mga organs nga nagatabang in doing the function of the digestive system. Okay? It includes the salivary gland, no? Mo yung nagaproduce og saliva, no, during sa ato ang pag-usap. Okay? Liver creates bile. Okay? Si bile is ga-help siya og breakdown sa mga fat nga ato ang ginakaon. And then we have also the gallbladder, which stores at saka releases kini ang bile. Okay? Si gallbladder ang naga-store o naga-release sa bile pag gikinahanglan siya sa ato ang digestive system. And then we have the pancreas, which secrete pancreatic amylase for final digestion of starch. Si pancreatic amylase is an enzyme. Okay? Remember, pag ay mga ACE ang ending sa biology, it's probably an enzyme. Okay? So, ingestion, mahitabo siya sa mouth kanang pag-usap nato. However, kung strict ang ato ang pag-define no, sa kini ang mga terms, si digestion is mahitabo siya sa stomach. So kanang pag-usap nato sa pagkaon, strictly dili gyud na siya pag-digest, no? It's ingestion na siya. So yung digestion is mahitabo lang siya in the stomach, no, if we are going to be strict with the difference between the two. Okay, however, it's interchangeable man gud ang digestion is kasagaran man nato, di ba, ang ginagamit nato nga pag mayong tag-usap gi-digest niya. Okay, however, pag mayong pag-usapon nato ang atong pagkaon, that is ingestion. Okay, in a strict sense. Absorption naman mahitabo siya in the small intestine, at saka yung elimination of the waste material gikan sa atong pagkaon will happen in our anus. Okay? So, si peptic ulcer is a digestive disease. Okay? It is caused by Helicobacter pylori. No? Yung ulcer is not caused by kini ang pagdugay ka mo kaon or dili ka usahay mo kaon, dili na maka-ulcer, no? Maka-cause lang na siya og kini ang acidity sa imuhang tiyan. Pero ang ulcer is caused by bacteria. Okay? Specifically Helicobacter pylori. Okay, so let us now proceed with the circulatory system. Okay, so the circulatory system, ang main function niya is to transport blood from the heart to the lungs to oxygenate blood, then to other parts of the body. Okay, so we have kini ang parts of the circulatory system nga maoy naga-transport ani nga mga blood. We have the blood vessels. Okay, so we have two types of blood vessels. We have the artery, in which it carries blood away from the heart, no? Ang dugo nga ginadala or gina-transport sa artery is yung mga oxygen-rich nga blood. Okay, padulong na siya sa mga tissues or sa individual nga cells para katong oxygen nga naa sa red blood cells is gamiton siya by the individual nga cells during cellular respiration. Yung vein naman or yung veins naman, sila ang naga-transport or naga-move sa blood gikan sa mga tissues or cells pabalik sa heart. Okay? So they carry the oxygenated nga blood, meaning carbon dioxide na ilahang dala, dili na katong oxygen rich nga blood ang ilahang dala. Okay? So we have here, as you can see, kining naka-red nga blood vessel, no? Red ang color. These are arteries. Ayan. Then yung mga blue naman ang color, these are kini ang mga veins nga mga blood vessel. Okay, so they carry the oxygenated blood pabalik sa heart, and then si heart na pod ipump na po niya pabalik sa lungs ang kadtong deoxygenated na blood. Okay? So si heart is the main organ of the circulatory system. Siya ang responsible sa pag-pump of blood in the entire body. Okay? So si blood contains blood cells, the red blood cells or the erythrocytes, the white blood cells or the leukocytes, the platelets or the thrombocytes, and then we have here the plasma. Okay? So that is the composition of blood. Okay? So red blood cells or red corpuscles is kini ang red because of hemoglobin. Okay? Na ay hemoglobin nga naa sa mga red blood cells mo na nga it appears red. Fibrinogen is a protein found in the plasma which is responsible for blood clotting. Okay? So it's a type of protein no nga makita sa plasma sa ato ang blood nga ga-help in blood clotting. Okay? Si vitamin K naman is a vitamin needed for blood clotting. And then we have calcium, which is the mineral needed for blood clotting. So again, ang responsible sa blood clotting is si thrombocytes o yung mga platelets. So na ay mga gikinahanglan nga mga minerals at saka yung mga vitamins or proteins para magtabang kang unsa na thrombocytes to do blood clotting. Okay? So vitamin B12 naman is a vitamin needed by or needed for the reproduction of red blood cells. So red blood cells, together with all the types of blood cells, they are made in the bone marrow. Okay? So yung lifespan ni red blood cells is 120 days. Yung lifespan naman ni white blood cells either 10 to 15 or 13 to 20 days. And then gi-include lang po nako dinhi ang lifespan sa eyelash, which is 3 to 4 months, because kini mga lifespan is gagawas gyud ni sila, gabalik-balik ni sila sa unsa na let. Okay, hopefully if you're going to take the let soon, hopefully mabalik po ni sila para sayon na lang pag-answer. Okay, let us now proceed with the respiratory system. Okay, so the respiratory system supplies body with oxygen and release carbon dioxide as waste. Okay, so inspiration or yung pag-inhale natin or pag-take in natin ng oxygen. Expiration naman yung pag-exhale natin or yung pag-release natin ng carbon dioxide out of our body. Okay? So let us talk about the parts or yung mga organs, no, that is kini ang responsible in kini ang doing the function of the respiratory system. First, we have the nose, no, which warms and moisten the air, and also kitong mga kini ang hairs sa ato ang ilong, no, they can trap dirt no mo na makakugmuta. Okay, it's a dirt man nga na trap sa ato ang ilong or specifically sa buhok sa ato ang ilong. Okay? So the pharynx or the throat naman is the passageway for both air at saka food. So naay kanang murag gate dra ano sa pharynx nga nagprevent sa entrance sa food padulong sa trachea, in which the what we call the windpipe, no, para dili makasulod ang kini ang mga food nga ato ang ginatulon, no, na ay naka murag gateway or kini ang naka-prevent, no, sa food to enter the trachea, which we call the epiglottis. Okay, so si larynx is the voice box, which is kinindria, no, or the Adam's apple nga naa sa mga lalaki. So it contains the vocal cords. Okay, and then we have the trachea or the windpipe, no, it is a cartilaginous nga kini ang structure. It traps at saka sweeps out dirt through cilia. So naay cilia gihapon sa trachea, naay cilia sa lungs, naapoy cilia sa kini ang fallopian tube sa ato ang lawas. Okay? So bronchi at saka yung bronchioles, these are pipes that branch off to each lung. Okay? So katong we have here, no, na man mga from trachea, si trachea mag-branch off siya into duha ka bronchi, and then yung each bronchi na po yung mag-branch nga another branch in which we call the bronchioles. Okay? So lungs is the main organ of the respiratory system. So si diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle beneath the lung. So si diaphragm helps, no, in kini ang pag-breathe nato, no, kay si during during pag-inhale nato, si diaphragm is mag-contract siya. Okay? And then during po sa pag-exhale nato, si diaphragm is mag-relax. Okay? So si diaphragm mo ay mag-push sa kini ang ato ang lungs para magpagawas og hangin. Okay? It's one of the kini ang organs magtabang sa ato during inhalation at saka yung exhalation. Okay? So during again inhalation, si diaphragm mag-contract. During naman sa pag-exhale, si diaphragm mag-relax. Okay? So let's proceed with the endocrine system. Okay? It regulates body temperature, metabolism, and the development of the body together with homeostasis through hormones. Okay, so endocrine system regulates also other organs. Okay, example ng mga glands no, or organs under endocrine system is yung pancreas, which releases insulin, and then we have the parathyroid gland, which regulates calcium level in our blood or in our body. Okay, and then we have the reproductive system. Okay, so in male reproductive system, it includes the penis, the testes, the vas deferens, the epididymis, the scrotum, the prostate glands, the seminal vesicles, at saka the bulbourethral gland. Okay, so in female reproductive system naman, it includes the ovaries, the oviduct, the uterus, the cervix, the vagina, at saka yung the labia. Okay? So, during fertilization, no, diri mahitabo ang union of sex cells or the gametes, which is the union of sperm at saka yung egg cell from the female. Okay? So, natay ginatawag na in vitro fertilization in which sperm and ovum meet inside the test tube, no? So, mag-meet, ginabuhat ni siya ning in vitro fertilization, especially for those couples nga maglisod og kini ang buo og baby. Okay? So in vitro fertilization again, ang fertilization mahitabo siya in the test tube or in the petri dish. And then we have the in vivo fertilization, which is the normal fertilization, no, in which the sperm at saka yung ovum or yung egg cell will meet inside the body, specifically in the fallopian tube of the female. Okay? So one drop of semen contains an estimate of 5 billion sperms. Okay, so let's proceed with the nervous system. Okay, so the nervous system regulates the behavior, maintains homeostasis, controls sensory and motor functions of the body. Okay, so it is also involved in memory and emotions. It is kini ang main nga kini ang part of the nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, so it also includes the neurons or the nerve cells, which is the basic unit of the nervous system. Okay, so we also have divisions of the nervous system. No, we have the central nervous system, which includes the cerebrum. Okay, which is a part of the brain and which controls the activities mostly of the kini ang an individual. Okay, so again, cerebrum, it controls the voluntary activities of the body and it is the largest part of the brain. Okay, so it is also responsible in intelligences, learning, and judgment. Okay, si cerebellum naman is also part of the brain. Okay, it is called the little brain. It controls or it regulates involuntary movement and also regulates balance and coordination. Okay, and then we have the brainstem. The brainstem includes the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla. Okay, so it connects the brain and the spinal cord, and also it controls or regulates involuntary na mga movement. Okay, so si brainstem is responsible also for life-sustaining activities like breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, and swallowing. Di ba? Breathing and heart rate, mga involuntary man na sila ng mga movements sa ato ang lawas. Okay? So again, brainstem includes the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata. And then the other division of kini ang nervous system is the peripheral nervous system, which consists of the nerves. Okay? So again, si central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. Si peripheral nervous system consists of the nerves, no? Kanang mga nerves nga naa sa ato ang mga kamot, mga tiil, and other parts of the body. Okay, so we have here again the central nervous system. As you can see, it consists of the brain and the spinal cord, and then the peripheral nervous system are those nerve cells or kini ang nervous tissues in the entire body. Okay, mo na comprise sa peripheral nervous system. Okay, so let's proceed with the skeletal system. Okay, the skeletal system protects and supports the body parts. Okay, they are the framework of our body, and they are responsible for the production of blood cells, specifically in the bone marrow. Bone marrow niya, bone marrow, still bone arrow. Okay, so it is the storage of calcium and phosphorus, yung mga bones natin. So yung bones natin, pag adult na, no, naatay 206 kabuok bones. However, pag baby pa, na ay 300 nga bones, because during development, no, some of the bones will kini ang mag-combine sila or mag-fuse together. Mo na nga mo, pag adult na ta, gamay na lang ang number of bones sa ato ang lawas. Okay, so there are two divisions of the skeletal system. First one, we have the eggshell skeletal system, which include the skull, the vertebrae, at saka yung rib cage. Which one here? Kini. Okay? So again, it includes the skull, the rib cage, at saka yung vertebral column. That is part of the eggshell skeleton. And then we have the appendicular skeleton naman, which includes the bones na nasa tuang arms o sa tuang legs. Okay? So manay kalahian sa two divisions of the skeletal system. Okay. Now let us proceed with the muscular system. So the muscular system moves our limbs and the trunk of our body. So it moves substances through the body, and there are three types of muscular tissue. First one, we have the smooth muscle, which is located in various internal structures, including the digestive tract, the uterus, and blood vessels such as arteries. No? Yung mga smooth muscle, they are involuntary na mga muscles. So they are non-striated. Okay? And then we have the cardiac muscle, which is the muscle specific to the heart. Okay? So, responsible ang cardiac muscle sa contraction sa heart no, o pag-relax sa heart during sa pag-pump of blood. Okay? So, again, si cardiac muscle is kini ang involuntary siya. Okay? Because kini ang unconscious unconscious nga movement man sa ato ang lawas ang gina-exhibit sa cardiac muscle. And then lastly, we have the skeletal muscle, which is the specialized tissue that is attached to the bones and allows movement. So, si skeletal muscle is voluntary na siya. Okay? So, you can move your skeletal muscle at will. Meaning, pwede ka makabuot kaya mo siyang lihokon or dili. Unlike ang smooth o kang cardiac muscle, yung mga involuntary nga mga muscles, dili ka makabuot kung mo function sila or dili. Okay? Kaya naa sila'y kini ang kaugalingon nga unsa na dili sila mag depende no sa imuhang gusto. Okay, so they can work even without our conscious awareness. Next system is the excretory system. Okay, so yung main function na excretory system is to remove metabolic waste from the body. Okay, so it includes the lungs, no? Kaya si lungs ga-remove man siya of water vapor at saka yung carbon dioxide during respiration. So si liver pod ga-remove siya og kini ang waste sa atong body gikan sa atong gipang-inom, no? In which later on ma-form into a urea. Si skin is also part of the excretory system, which removes sweat, no? Sweat kinang singot nato. Okay, it's a kini ang metabolic waste man. Si kidney, which is the main excretory organ, excretes water, urea, and other metabolic waste. Okay? So, yung tawag sa functional unit ng kidneys is si nephron. Next system is the integumentary system. Okay? So, it covers our body and then it protects our body from loss of internal fluids and from UV rays or ultraviolet na rays. Okay? So, si integumentary system, specifically yung skin natin is responsible for the regulation of our body temperature. So it also, as what I have said kanina, the skin is part of the excretory system. That means it can eliminate also some waste from our body in the form of sweat. Okay? So integumentary system includes the nails, no, mga kuko, skin, at saka yung ating hair. Okay? So mahitabo ang production of vitamin D sa skin. Okay? Although ginatawag siya og production sa vitamin D, di ba, ginaingon siya nga magpainit ta kay aron magkaroon tayo ng vitamin D. Okay? So yung vitamin D natin is already in our body na. However, um, kini ang there is kini ang inactive manggod nga type pa nga vitamin, si vitamin D nga nasa ato ang skin. Okay? So para ma-activate siya is kinahanglan nato og sunlight para ma-activate tong or na certain nga kini ang enzyme that will make vitamin D active, no, in the presence of sunlight. Okay? So skin is the largest organ in the body. Remember that one, ang pinakadako nga organ in our body is the skin. Okay? So let us proceed now with the immune system. Okay? So sa immune system, siya ang responsible sa pag-defend sa atong body against pathogens and diseases. Okay? So pathogens, mga any organism or foreign material baka that can cause disease. It can be considered as a pathogen. Okay? So immune system includes the white blood cells, the lymph nodes, at saka yung lymphatic system, and the skin. Okay, the skin also is part of the immune system. Again, si skin is our first line of defense sa ato ang lawas, no? It prevents kini ang pathogens or mga foreign bodies nga makasulod sila sa ato ang internal nga parts sa atong body because naay skin nga nagprevent sa mga pathogens or mga viruses baka. Okay? So kung ang virus mapadulong sa ato ang skin, di siya mapadulong sa atong baka or sa ato ang sa ato ang ilong or mata, dili sila makareproduce ang virus because the outer skin nato is a dead cells man, mga dead cells man kini magunitan nato nga skin nato. Okay, mga dead cells na sila. So again, si skin is part of the immune system. It is our first line of defense sa ato ang body, si skin. Okay? So let us also talk about yung mga post-mortem nga changes during death. Okay? Kaya nagagawas po din sila in the licensure examination. Okay? So first, we have the liver mortis. Ano ba yung liver mortis? It is also known as hypostasis. No? Ano ba nangyayari during hypostasis or liver mortis? So pagkapatay sa tao, no, after some time, the blood settles because of gravity. So kung naghigda ka, pagkamatay nimo, ang imuhang dugo is mag-settle siya sa imuhang likod, no? Kay wala na may gapump sa imuhang dugo, mao na nga ang dugo nimo is magpundo ra siya sa imuhang likod. Okay? So during liver mortis, the skin becomes pinkish, bluish, and blotchy. Okay? So again here, pag naghigda ka during sa imuhang death, no, ang imuhang dugo is magpundo siya sa imuhang likod baka. Okay? Kung nagtakilid po ka, magpundo po na imuhang dugo sa imuhang kilid. Okay, so we have here, ayan, as you can see here, nag-reddish, no? Ang likod niya is because pagkamatay niya is naghigda siya. So nagsettle ang dugo sa iyahang likod. And then we have rigor mortis. Okay, during rigor mortis, there are chemical changes, no, that causes our muscle mass to become rigid or mutikig na ta, no, during kini ang rigor mortis. So after rigor mortis, chemical breakdown and muscles become flaccid. Okay, like this one here, yung tikig, no? So ang iyahang muscle na ana is nag-undergo na og rigor mortis. And then we have the algor mortis, in which body cooling from normal internal temperature to the temperature of the environment. Again, we humans are warm-blooded, yung mga animals, no? So ang ato ang temperature is ni ang Our body maintains it under 27 no degrees Celsius ang body temperature nato para maka kini ang undergo o kini ang metabolic process ng ato ang lawas. Kung mutaas siya, that means there is something wrong na sa ato ang body pag magtaas ang ato ang body temperature. However, kung mamatay na ta, so wala na mag-regulate sa ato ang body temperature, that means ang temperature sa atong body kung mamatay na ta will become kini ang the same with the temperature of the environment kung asa ka namatay. Okay? So, specifically magbugnaw na siya kay naman wala na may unsa na wala na pagpump sa heart no wala na blood nga naga unsa na nagadaloy sa imong mga blood vessels because ang blood man mo ay nagahatag og kini ang internal nga temperature or kainit internal heat sa ato ang lawas. Okay, so pag flow sa blood, yung flow ng blood is mo gahatag og internal heat sa ato ang lawas. Okay? And then we have decomposition. Okay? So I know you already encountered this word decomposition, which is a process of autolysis and putrefaction. Ano ba yung autolysis at putrefaction? Si autolysis is the self-digestion or the self-destruction of a cell sa ato ang lawas. Okay? So it happens through the action of its enzymes. Although namatay na ta, no? Although namatay na ta, ang ato ang cells is some of our cells is naapaghapon naga-undergo paghapon sila o kini ang kanang bago pa ta namatay ha, not all organs man dahil pag untahay mamatay na ka. One of the organs man gid pag nga i-declare na ka nga patay na ka is kini ang imong heart wa na siya naglihok. Okay? No, pag mo undang na nagpitik ang imong heart or pump imong heart og blood, diha na makai unsa na i-declare nga patay na ka. However, pag matay og unang heart, no, muunda ang heart, some of the organs sa imong body is still alive pa. Okay? So, during pagkamatay nato, no, mag-undergo ang ato ang mga cells og self-destruction. Okay? Mao na nga madugta ta or mag-undergo ta og decomposition. And then we have putrefaction, which is the breakdown of tissues and liquefaction of most organ. Okay? So those are post-mortem changes. Okay, so we have here a sample question. What do you call the wave-like muscle contractions that move food no in our kini ang esophagus? So the answer here is letter C. It's not letter C, it's letter D, peristalsis. Epiglottis di ay katong mura siya gateway no para dili makasulod ang food or ang pagkaon sa ato ang windpipe or sa trachea. Okay. So let us now proceed with genetics.